Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Godzilla Final War, Part 3. So the Exilians have just arrived, and they're trying to. The EDF does not mess around. They've got everyone on the roof of their building, and they're all armed to the teeth. The leaders of the EDF go up there to meet them. They meet the Secretary of the UN. He's like, "Oh, come on in. These guys are peaceful. They've captured all the monsters for us. It's really good." And they're like, okay, so they bring in the Exilians, and a little time goes by. It's been like a couple weeks, and nothing bad's happened yet. The Exilian, like, what happens is the head of the UN wants to form this thing called the Space Nations between between the Earth and the Exilians, and so that's interesting. And meanwhile, like they try to get the reporter that met with him before tried to get a meeting with him, but he's like, I might be busy. Meanwhile, the most obvious assassin ever comes to kill him. It's literally this dude. They're in like the middle of this plaza somewhere. It's like some building, and this guy who's in literally a cloak, like a hooded guy, walks up to him and pulls out a big old knife and stabs the I guess the prime minister or the undersecretary. I don't really remember what the position is, but anyway, so and the guy in charge of the UN, he stabs him. The main mutant basically knocks him out of the way, pulls him down. The secretary's bleeding. They bandage his wound. They get the blood. The quote unquote good guys get the blood and they examine it, bring it back to a lab to look at, and it turns out it's not human blood. So what's going on now? Well, they determine that he's an alien, and they trick him when he's on a television show. Him and the two of the main Exilians, this older guy who's kind of bald, and this younger guy who kind of has like this crazy like leather Matrix outfit. It's kind of interesting. All right, so they're on this talk show, and the host is like she's a reporter girl that had been working on all this stuff so far. She brings out a dog, and the guy doesn't remember the dog's name. And she tricks him into thinking it's his dog, but it's really not. It's her dog. And she's like, "So you don't know who this is? Because this isn't. You shouldn't know who this is because this isn't your dog. It's my dog. And yeah, you're clearly not the prime minister because the prime minister loves his dog, or the UN secretary guy loves his dog. And so they're like, well, fuck, what are we gonna do? So at this point, they've been doing some research back at the EDF headquarters, and they don't know. They found out that the leader of the EDF is probably captured by the Exilians and replaced with an alien. So they're like, well, who can we trust? And they're like, well, I know one person that can't be. And they go down to the brig, and Captain Gordon's just there, just punching a punching bag in his cell. And they let him out, and he comes out, and he's like, he sees that the mutant guy has like the two hot chicks, and he's like, "Are you doing pretty good for yourself?" He's like, "Not what it looks like." He's like, really gives him this eyebrow, which is kind of funny. And then they're like, they go to hack some database, some Exilians, some possessed guys show up. Turns out they're replacements, they're body snatched, and they kill them, and they find out what they really look like. And Captain Gordon raises his eyebrow, and he's like, "Well, there's something you don't see every day." And he takes the body, and they literally go to the not the movie studio, but the TV studio where they're having the press conference. And Gordon just like walks on and shoots the secretary in the head, and like his head busts open, and you see like this fish dude, and he's like, "This is what you really are," and he throws down a dead body he was just carrying of one of the Exilians. And meanwhile, the younger Exilian is just laughing, calls himself X. He's just laughing like a crazy bastard. And the older one's trying to explain. He's like, "Let me explain." And then the younger one just blasts him through the head with a gun and continues laughing as he performs a military coup. So, looks like the Exilians are up to no good. So this is when the Exilians come in, and they literally take control of everything with M-Base. Turns out all the mutants have M-Base. So they take control of all the mutants except for the primary guy. He's protected because he's special. And they all fight. The leader of the mutants basically isn't affected either because I don't think he's actually a mutant. He's just like a really good fighter. and he holds off all of them. Like they truck in like 20 mutants to arrest the Exilians, and the Exilians take control of them and have them turn on them. In a very eerie scene, all of the guys are like tweaking out and screaming, and then they suddenly stop and just look, and you're like, oh well, fuck, that's not good. You're obviously possessed now. So he fights off all of the mutants in a very. What's very funny is it only starts off as a fight, but it becomes literally like a zombie. Like they all just pigpile on him towards the end, which is kind of funny. So there you go. So then they escape from there, and there's a motorcycle chase where one of the rival character is chasing the head mutant, and they get into like a literal motorcycle fight. Like they're riding on their motorcycles, shooting guns at each other. Nothing's working. They're hitting each other with the motorcycles. Like one guy gets knocked off his motorcycle, he's holding on, and it's crazy. And yeah, so that just goes on for like a good 5 minutes, and it's great to watch. Um, Captain Gordon's always funny. He's just the best character in this, like, because he doesn't have any special abilities or special powers. He's just a badass. He's just like, I don't take shit, and I'm badass. Aren't you a mutant? No, just a dude. I can punch a bitch. That's it. It's kind of funny. But yeah, so then they escape from there and they take the rival captive, which come up later. And they're like, so what are we gonna do? What could we possibly do to stop all the Exilians? Because the Exilians go and basically announce, we're gonna take control of all of you. We're gonna destroy the planet, and in order to do that, we're gonna release all the monsters because they're under our control. And we're gonna turn all of you into cattle because we need your mitochondria. I mean, you find that out later, but that's the reason they're doing it. So they release all the monsters, and everything gets destroyed. Like every single city is destroyed now, and all of the EDF is destroyed. Except wait, what wasn't on deployment? Oh, that's right, the Gotengo. So they go to the bay where the Gotengo is, their secret underground base, which the Exilians don't know about apparently. And the Gotengo is ready to go, but so they all get into it and they fire it up, and they're like, so what are we gonna do? Because like we can't take on the ship by ourselves. And I was like, we're the only ones left. And Gordon's like, nah, man, you're wrong. You're wrong. We don't stand a chance against them. Now, there's only one force in the world that could stop them. And that's Godzilla. And he's like, wait, what? Everyone else is just like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, that's right. I got this plan. We're gonna go down to the Antarctic, let out Godzilla, have him follow us all the way back to Japan, destroy the Exilian ship, then fly back to the Antarctic and re-imprison Godzilla. We're literally going to use him because last time he saw us, we were fighting him with the Gotengo, so he's going to think, oh, it's on, baby. And follow us all the way back because that's how he goes. And they're all like, that is the craziest, stupidest plan ever. And he's like, oh, really? You got a better one? And everyone's like, no. So he's like, yeah, we're doing this. This is great. This is going to work. And I'm like, well, it probably won't work, but it sounds fucking awesome, so let's do that. So everyone else is destroyed and whatnot. So they actually head out in a really cool cutscene. The music picks up and they bust out of their underground hidden bunker. And meanwhile, you see the guy that fended off all the mutants like stroll out and fall down as the Gotengo's flying off. And he's like, I did it. And you don't know if he's dead. I don't believe he comes back in the movie at any point. I don't remember seeing him. So I'm assuming he dies from his wounds, kind of like the heroic samurai way of going out, which is interesting. So meanwhile, the Exilians revive Gigan, and he comes back to life. So that's a problem. Very difficult problem to deal with. And the Gotengo's flying down to Area G in the Antarctic. Okay, well, fair enough. So they call ahead, and the best part about this is they call the guards that are there. The Exilians didn't attack Area G because it's in the Antarctic. It's no strategic importance. It's not a big city. It doesn't have any infrastructure or anything like that, really. And it's just like this base where these two guys hang out. There's a black guy and this like a Samoan guy. And the Samoan guy's like wearing like, Hawaiian shirts. And they're just chilling out. And he's like, hey, we got a call from the Gotengo. And he's like, oh, they survived? I'm surprised. And he's like, yeah, they'll come down here. Well, why they come down here? They're going to wake up Godzilla. And the guy does a literal spit take. He was about to take a thing, and he's like, that's an exceedingly bad idea. Like, he's going to be pissed when he wakes up. And they're like, well, that's what they're doing. And he's like, all right. So they open up the Area G containment, which is like basically like this dome that's over where Godzilla's entombed in the ice. And the Gotengo flies down there. Meanwhile, the aliens find out because Captain Gordon radios him in. And he's like, look, listen, son, there's two things you don't know about this world. One of them's me, one of them's Godzilla. And he's like, oh really? So we're going to send Gigan to go fight you. So Gigan comes down. They get to Area G, and Gigan comes down and is fighting him. And it's a pretty good fight. He knocks down the Gotengo, but the Gotengo immediately fires its missiles into the spot where Godzilla is held, immediately freeing him. And here we are, about 40 minutes in. Godzilla is finally seen for the first time that wasn't in the opening credits. And what's he immediately do? You don't even see him. All you see first is Gigan's moving in for the kill, and immediately Atomic Breath blasted him back. And that is where we're going to leave off, with the return of Godzilla and the final part of this movie. That is the final struggle against the Exilians. What will happen? What will they throw in the way of Godzilla to try to stop him? And what can stop Godzilla, if anything? We'll find out next. Godzilla Final Wars. All right, folks. See you next time.